Hey gang, just to let you know, you can now use the promo code MTGMudsta, all caps, at flipsidegaming.com and originalmagicart.store. Using the code gets you 10% off orders $10 or more, and you get to help out the channel at the same time. I also want to let you guys know that Flipside Gaming is doing another giveaway for Guilds of Ravnica. If you place an order at flipsidegaming.com between September 3rd and October 7th using the promo code MTGMudsta, you'll be entered to win. We've decided to limit entry as one per person to give everyone a more fair chance. So have fun and good luck. I hope today finds you well, because we've got 2 new commanders and a brand new face to the channel. In today's game, I'm playing Trostani, keeping 2 forests, Sungrass Prairie, Rootborn Defenses, Cultivate, Bramble Sovereign, and a Maria Shepherd. Sean is taking Hallar out for a spin, keeping 3 forests, Spire Garden, Grove of the Burn Willows, Hardened Scales, and Primal Growth. Jake, who is a long-time viewer who just so happened to be in town and was able to get into a game, is playing Najeela, keeping Horizon Canopy, Nature's Will, Swamp, Brutal Horde Chief, Forest, Urza's Incubator, and Arishan Foremost. And lastly, Matt is playing his Multani deck that he's recently sleeved up, keeping Crossing Grip, Soul Ring, Forest, Nissa Vastwood Seer, Life's Legacy, Regrowth, and Lightning Greaves. Jake wins the die roll, and he starts us off. Jake plays an unclaimed territory, naming warriors as it enters the battlefield. Sean plays a Spire Garden, which comes in untapped, and he casts a Hardened Scales. Matt plays a forest, and he casts Soul Ring. He taps the ring to cast a Lightning Greaves, and he passes turn. I play a forest, and I pass. Jake plays a Horizon Canopy, passing turn. Sean plays a Grove of the Burn Willows and taps it for colorless, casting Lightning Greaves as well. Matt plays a tapped Desert of the Indomitable, and he casts Nissa Vastwood Seer. He gears her up with the Lightning Greaves before he goes and grabs a forest, putting it to his hand. I play Sunpetal Grove, and I pass to Jake. Jake plays a Swamp and takes 1 from the canopy as he taps out to cast an Urza's Incubator, also naming warriors. Sean plays a forest, and we see Hallar. Sean then passes to Matt. Matt plays a forest, and Sean highlights how shiny his playmat is. Matt casts a Grove from the Ashes, kicked, and he goes to find 2 forests, putting them onto the field. I play a forest, and I cast Cultivate. I go to my library, and I grab a Plains for the field, and 1 to my hand. Jake plays a forest, and needs only to tap his unclaimed territory to cast Najeela. He then casts a Demonic Tutor, and goes to his library to find a card. Sean draws and plays Rootbound Crag, and casts Strength of Tajuru where X is 1 and multi-kicks at once. He puts a counter on Najeela and Hallar, but first Sean gets to put the counters from Hallar's ability on first, and adds an extra one because of the scales. All of Sean's opponents take 2, and Sean then gets to put 2 more counters onto Hallar from the Strength. Sean then moves the Greaves onto Hallar, and swings Hallar at me for 7 commander damage. Matt plays a forest, and he casts Sylvan Library. He then brings out Multani, and moves the Greaves over onto his commander. Matt then passes. I play a Plains, and I cast Nature's Lore. I find my copy of Canopy Vista, which comes into play untapped thanks to my having 2 basics out, and I cast Bramble Sovereign before passing turn. Jake pays 2 white to cast Arishan Foremost, taking 1 from the Horizon Canopy. He has it give Najeela double strike, and moving to combat, swings his commander at me. I take 8 from Najeela, and 1 from the token she makes on attack. In Jake's second main phase, he casts Skull Clamp, equipping it onto the newly made soldier, killing it and drawing 2 cards. He then plays a mountain, and he passes to Sean. Sean plays a command tower, and he passes to Matt. Matt plays a Field of Ruin, which is his 7th land for the game, triggering Nissa to flip into Nissa, Sage Animist. Sean taps his Grove in response to this, giving all of his opponents 1 life. Matt then upticks Nissa, revealing a forest off the top and getting to play it. Matt then sacrifices Multani as part of the casting cost of Life's Legacy, and draws 8 cards, putting Multani into the bin. Matt then casts Multani Mirror Sorcerer, the younger and more spry version of his commander, and discards down to 7 before passing to me. I play a Sungrass Prairie, and I cast Wall of Blossoms, paying 2 more from the Bramble Sovereign trigger to make a token copy of it. As the 2 walls enter, I draw a card each, and I pass my turn. Jake plays a Swamp and takes 1 life loss to cast Reconnaissance. He then drops a Mad Rush Cyclops, which gives haste to all of his creatures, and he moves to combat. He swings the Arishan at Matt, and Najeela and the Cyclops at Nissa. He has 3 soldier tokens that come in, and Jake has them also go at Matt. Jake also has to resolve his Arishan double strike trigger, and he puts it onto the Cyclops. Matt moves to block the Arishan with his Multani, and before moving to damage, Jake takes it out of combat with Reconnaissance. Matt loses Nissa and takes 3 damage. Jake then uses Reconnaissance to untap all of his creatures before moving out of combat, and passes turn. At the end of his turn, I cast Beast Within to blow up Reconnaissance, which Matt kinda wishes I'd done earlier. Sean plays a Forest and kicks Pincer Spider as he casts it. Hallar gains 2 more counters and deals 6 damage to all of Sean's opponents, and then the Spider enters the battlefield and gains 2 +1/+1 counters. Sean passes, and at the end of Sean's turn, Matt pays 2 to activate the new Multani's ability from the graveyard, returning his commander to his hand along with 2 lands from his field. Matt uses his library trigger and takes 4 to keep an extra card. He plays a Rampaging Baloth for 6, and he plays a Forest which triggers the Baloth's landfall. Matt gains a Beast token, and he then casts Courser of Crufix, revealing a Forest at the top of his library. Matt then stretches out the Lightning Greaves by putting them onto his Baloth. At the end of turn, Matt has to discard down to 7, and he passes. I play a Forest, and Jake cycles Ash Barrens to go and find an island. I decide to cast Trostani, and I then pass to Jake. Jake plays an island for his land for turn, and he casts a Proteus Staff. Moving to combat, he swings his 3 warrior tokens at Sean, which double in their numbers thanks to Najeela's triggers. Sean blocks 2 of them, and then takes 4. In his second main phase, Jake loses 1 life to tap the Horizon Canopy to pay for Skullclamp's equip cost, clamping a warrior and drawing 2. He then passes. Sean plays a Forest, and he casts a Kick Thicket Elemental. This has Hallar gain another 2 +1/+1 counters and deals 8 damage to all of Sean's opponents. Sean then resolves the Thicket Elemental trigger and doesn't need to reveal much, as Colonian Hydra is the next card on top of his library. It enters the battlefield, gaining 1 extra counter thanks to the scales, and Sean moves the Greaves onto the Hydra. Moving to combat, Sean swings the Hydra and Hallar at Jake, which has the Hydra doubling the counters of all of Sean's creatures, and then adding 1 additional thanks to the hardened scales. Unfortunately, even with blocking everything, Jake is facing lethal, but decides to take out the Hydra as he goes, blocking with everything and then dying. In Sean's second main phase, Sean moves the Greaves back onto Hallar, and he passes turn. Matt rearranges the top 3 cards of his library thanks to the Sylvan library, and draws for turn, leaving a Forest on top. Matt then casts a Momentous Fall in his main phase, sacrificing old Multani like he did the future version to the spell, and draws 15 cards and gains 15 life. Matt then plays a Forest, gaining 1 life from the Courser and a Beast token from the Baloth. He then casts a Krosan Grip to take out Sean's Greaves, and Matt then takes out Hallar with Beast Within. Moving to his end step, Matt discards down to 7 and passes to me. At the end of his turn, I cast Rootborn Defenses to populate my Wall of Blossoms token. I gain 4 life as the new token enters, and I draw a card. I play a Forest from my land for turn, and I cast Sun Titan, paying 2 to create a token copy of it with a Sovereign. I gain 12 life with the original and the token coming in, and I return Secluded Step from my graveyard to the field, which I'd cycled earlier. I then pass to Sean. Sean recasts Hallar in his main phase, and passes to Matt. Matt takes 4 once more from his library trigger to keep an extra card. We then see in his main phase a Ramunak Excavator, aka Crucible of Worlds on a tail, and Matt then casts a Lotus Cobra. Matt plays a Rogue's Passage from his graveyard, gaining 1 life from the Courser, 1 green mana from the Cobra, and a 4/4 Beast from the Baloth. Talk about value. Matt then casts a Wayward Swordtooth, which comes into play and sees that Matt has met the requirements for City's Blessing. This isn't that big of a deal because Matt's only using it to play an extra land, and we see a Forest hit the field from his graveyard. He gains another life, another green mana, and another 4/4 Beast token. Using his 2 floating and remaining lands, Matt is able to recast Multani, and moves the Greaves onto his commander once more. Moving to combat, Multani decides to introduce himself to Sean's face. Sean blocks with his 3/3 Beast, and then takes the rest of the damage, dropping to 21. Matt then passes turn. I play a Forest for my turn, and I cast Terracodon, making a token copy of it with my Bramble Sovereign. I gain 18 life with the 2 entering, and consider blowing up Rogue's Passage, but with no graveyard hate available, Matt's just gonna replay it anyway. With nothing else, I pass to Sean. Sean kicks a Gnarlid Pack in his main phase, and Matt and I take 2. He then casts a Primal Growth, kicking it and sacrificing the newly summoned Gnarlid Pack, and Matt and I take 4 more. Sean goes and grabs a Forest and a Mountain, and he passes turn. Matt untaps for his turn and only draws 1 from the turn, rearranging the top 3 so that a Forest is sitting on top. Matt then casts a Zuran Orb in his main phase, and he plays a Forest for his land for turn off the top. Once more, he gains 1 life, 1 green mana, and a 4/4 Beast token. Matt then plays a Forest from his graveyard, gaining that all once more, and he casts a Crop Rotation, sacrificing the Forest he taps. He grabs Reliquary Tower, gaining 1 life, 1 green mana, and another 4/4 Beast. Matt then casts Regrowth to return Momentous Fall to his hand, and we then see a Pier's whim come from Matt, and he has Sean and I be foes while he's a friend. Sean sacrifices his scales, and Matt goes into his library to find a land card. He grabs a Yavimaya Hollows, which comes into play tapped, and gains 1 life, 1 green mana, and another beast token again. Matt then equips the Greaves onto his Lotus Cobra, and gives Multani unblockable with his Rogue's Passage. He swings Multani at me, who just so happens to be a 21/21, and the rest of the creatures at Sean, which is enough to take him out even with blocks. With the creatures then connecting, Matt wins the game. Game review time. So, thank you to Jake for coming out and making the drive to come up and play this game with us, and for bringing his Najeela deck. I didn't realize that even her tokens could make tokens, so that was pretty cool to see. Matt had built his Multani deck while I was in Montreal, and I got updates from everyone saying how good it was, but I wanted to see it in person. Needless to say, I think it lived up to the hype, and Matt was drawing so many cards off those sacrifice effects, it was crazy. Sean's Hallar deck is very sneaky, and even though he's playing cards that don't always have huge impacts, he's dealing tons of damage to all of his opponents at once. I had been struggling at that point with whether or not I should use my Trostani triggers to blow up my lands and gain a bunch of life and some 3/3 tokens. In the long run, ultimately it didn't matter since I lost to commander damage, but it was something that Trevor had also echoed after watching us play the game. Please be sure to tune in every Monday and Thursday at 11 AM Eastern Standard Time for a guaranteed new video. You can also follow me on Twitter at MTGMudsta. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/mtgmudsta, and lastly, you can check me out when I stream at twitch.tv/mtgmudsta. This video is brought to you in support by my patrons. If you're looking for a way to help out the channel, please be sure to visit the link below. Thank you all for watching this video, and don't forget, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.